knowing terminology off the back of your hand. Timing was not cute, like not cute one bit. And I did accept I was not going to finish a paper, and I still got a grade. I'm going to tell you how you can do it. Okay, so there's a range of different questions. You've got the first few questions, little warm-ups, which link to my point about knowing terminology off the back of your hand. Out of all of the ones that I did in my GCSEs, timing was not cute, like not cute one bit. I did accept I was not going to finish a paper, and I still got a grade. I'm going to tell you how you can do it. So you've got the first few questions, which shouldn't take you so long, just to tick box. The next few questions, which will require a bit more explanation, that is the 3 markers. It's similar. You just need to outline the point and then elaborate related to the key term, which you should know off the back of your hand, and then apply it with an example for some of those type of questions. Then you start to gradually build up to the 12 markers, which require a lot more depth and analysis to your answers. The main structure that I would encourage you to use is point, evidence, explanation. I know it sounds like, oh Lima, like what's new? You use that in GCSE English. Even to today, as a law student, I still do PEE, but I've got to add in the bit of source for the specific subject. Sociology also has a bit of its pizzazz, and that is really analysis and criticism. My structure would be point, evidence, explanation / analysis, and then criticism, so that's the alternative view to something, and then link to the question. Obviously explain the criticism, so maybe there's another E, and then link to the question. And then you go to your next point. That's a link back to the previous point. Guys, I'm already giving you another top tip. You need to link back to the previous point because you want to flow in your argument. And same pizzazz. If you choose ever to counter, then make sure that in your summary, because the link, the end bit, which is a link to the question, will technically be your summary and be like, oh yeah, this is why you should follow this view of thought. You have made the argument in your introduction for, and this little paragraph is an against, basically, because you need to display nuance, you need to display balance, very fundamental for you to get a high mark. Then you need to highlight that this shouldn't be favoured. Even though this is a compeller point, this point should be favoured because maybe the data is not as up to date. And this is where your research methods come in, because you can criticise the research methods, or you can criticise the idea in itself and why you think this functionalist or this theorist should be followed over this person. Data is very important in sociology. Statistics also have contemporary examples because sociology is a subject of being applied to today, so you do need some modern examples. So if you can link it to like recent protests or even a recent issue in the news like systemic racism, institutional racism. So in terms of writing essays, an important piece of advice I'm going to give you is to practice. As I mentioned earlier, sociology, me and my friends used to go on about it. Sociology, the amount of time that they give you, they know you're not going to finish the paper. Practice essays. And I say this for 2 reasons. Obviously time conditions, but the flow in your train of thought. Honestly, the more you practice essays, the better your flow. If you don't want to practice an essay, which you should, then plan the essay. Write it condensed, so it doesn't have to be specific, just plan it like briefly written. Do plans for several questions. As many questions as possible, because let me tell you one thing about exams. Now that I've done so many years of exams and everything, you start to realize it's just about psyching you up for the fact that you've got the name of exams. But really and truly, when you see the paper, you've seen that question before. That question's come up before, it's just reworded. Every single exam that I've done, I'd be like to myself, like, oh, I think this is gonna come up, this, that, and the third. And I wouldn't prepare as much because I'm like stressed by exams and this, that, and the third. And I get there, I'm like, I guess this was gonna be here. Trust me, you've got it. Your exam is your mark. Your exam is not even your mark. Your exam is an assessment. Think of it that way. Obviously revise. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying take it easy. Do the work, but I'm saying think in the same way. It's not graded any harshly. It shouldn't at least be. Just do what you can do. It'll be the same conditions. It'll be the same questions, just reworded. Do every possible question related to different topics. And trust me, you're good. Even if you have a question and you had planned it or whatever it is, you can be like, I remember the paragraph that I wrote for that question. I'm gonna copy and paste it from my brain and put it there. And that's what I did, literally. I'd be like, oh, I made that good point. I'm putting it here. So guys, just do that. honestly. So I'm gonna quickly wrap up these points on essays with basically the importance of an introduction and a conclusion. I do think you can get away with not doing an introduction for GCSE sometimes. It's very possible. You can decide to be like, oh yeah, like I'm not gonna write one. I don't believe in them. Trust me, you'll see them. You think you'll get away with it in A-level. When you get to university, you're writing an introduction. So that's why I always committed to writing an introduction. And I think at least it helps me with my train of thoughts. In your introduction for sociology, all you need to usually do is define, outline your points. Very briefly, say some people say this, but others say this, although this is what I'm going to argue. That's literally it. And then in your conclusion, it's just a conclusion of that. Do not include new information. You have wrapped up things. You wrapped up the samosa. I say samosa because, guys, I've been snacking on the side. I've been hella hungry. But anyways, you've wrapped up the whole thing and you think you can add new information. That's a new problem that's been opened. You have not completed the essay then. So once you include any new information in the conclusion, new points, whatever it is, your essay is now opened again. So don't include new points there. Put all your points above, finish them up there. Then when you get to the end, wrap up things. And even if you're so tempted to include it, it's either you write or you don't, and you wrap up that conclusion, dealing with the pain of the fact that you knew you didn't include that one sweet point that you wanted to include, and just take that out. Just take that L. Because really and truly, it's not an L, to be honest. It would do you more of a favor. And my very special point about doing essays that I linked to before about how I never finished a sociology paper in my life and I still got an 8. I finished the paper, this, that, and the third. Like, you know when you start feeling bad about yourself, you're like I didn't finish the paper. They were like, oh yeah, it was so easy. I had 15 minutes with ease. 15 minutes! Why didn't you send me those 15 minutes? I needed that time. What matters is, don't compare yourself to other people. But the point is, my trick is, and this is what my teacher said, and this is the one thing my teacher was a G for: plan that essay. Before you start writing your essay, I forgot to even introduce this with it. Write a plan for every single essay, or else you will have no train of thought. Write a plan for every single essay in that exam, because I could write really small. My handwriting is notoriously small. Next to the question, I have about that much space. Write my sketch plan. I will write it literally, and then you just keep on looking up at it. You need to do that for also English, GCSE, or whatever the rest of your GCSEs you do. Obviously not maths. Like, what are you planning? But if you're running out of time, guys, if you're running out of time in that GCSE Sociology, continue to write that plan. If you realize you got 15 minutes, maybe not even 15 minutes, and you need to finish that essay, I think even one of my questions, I must have done a whole plan for the essay. The whole essay was a plan. I think the whole essay was a plan. Do it. Write the plan. Obviously, make sure it's a decent level of detailed explanation. Like, literally, how I said it. Just put point, explanation, this, that, and then like the colon, and then write it down. So the examiner knows where you're going. You're going to be favoured. It's the same way as like with maths. You're given points for showing you're working out. Guys, trust me, you might not get the highest mark in that question. You'll get marks. You will get marks. Rather than just leaving it, that tip, you will get the grade. Now wrapping up this video with basically the tips to get the highest grade. Other than what I mentioned before, you really need to know your AOs. So know literally what they mean, understand it, know how to implement it. Point will be AO1. Evidence will be AO1. Explanation/analysis will be AO2, and then finally the criticism will be AO2. Then when you go to the linking point, obviously you explain, you do the link to the question and analyze it. That's just your summary, like little paragraph. And then when you go to the link point, which links to the previous point, then that is going to be an AO2. You really need to know your AOs so that the examiner can understand that this person knows the course. This person deserves to get a better grade. Second point is, you need to read the examiner reports. The examiner reports, I remember for GCSE Sociology, they were juicy. They used to tell you what you just needed to do, what students were not doing right. They were juicy and they were so interesting to read. You know, when you read certain examiner reports, I think even for A-levels, it just gets boring. They even stopped including information. Examiner reports for GCSEs, they give it to you right there. They spoon feed you. Trust me, go read the examiner report. My next point is use original key thinkers. So I mentioned earlier about the resources that you're using for your revision. I got an extra revision guide, and basically that was super helpful for me to find extra ideas, extra points, and have original thought. In your essays, you develop original thought through, first of all, showing different key thinkers and also showing different ideas. I reckon the reason why I got like really good grades in sociology was because my ideas were so original. As long as you make an original point and back it, you're all good. Sociology is kind of an objective subject, whereas with something like English, it is like a thing of you can back it up, but depending on how the examiner's feeling on that day and how judgy they're feeling, then you could get marked down. I used to go to lessons in the other class. The teacher that they had, I remember like complaining at the start of the year, was like, that's so unfair. She was an examiner. She wrote a book as well. So the book that I bought, like, why do they have her? But like, I still really loved my sociology teacher. I was just like frustrated. I was like, they're obviously gonna all get knives. Like, come on. Went to her sessions and everything. It was super helpful. And even though like, I actually didn't always enjoy her teaching, and I felt like whenever I brought my ideas to her, she didn't really like agree with me. It was really good to get that perspective because she's an actual examiner, and quite a lot of your teachers at your schools will be examiners for the example. So do ask around, ask your friends, be like, what would you say at this point? What point did you make? Honestly, trust me, like, there's so many ways of viewing a different kind of idea, and like doing that preparation is super helpful for getting a really high grade. Another important thing for getting a high grade in sociology is really using sociological terms. I know I mentioned that at the start. Like, use it in every single opportunity that you can, because it shows that knowledge. The quality of your structure of your essays is also important. Sometimes it is advised that you do your strongest point first and then do your counterpoints, or you might want to do your counterpoints first and then do your actual points later, and building up and making it stronger throughout. It's more engaging like that way. So you know you're going to lose time in the exam. Like me, put your strongest point first. Sociology, for the longer questions, you will need 3 to 4 paragraphs. For the short ones, maybe 3, and for the smallest ones, it's like 1 or 2. And then lastly, an important thing is signposting. So when you're doing your point or you're linking back to the question, basically be clear about what your point is. So you really need to use very technical phrasing. So some sociologists would say, issue of this is a compelling point, because it really engages the reader straight off the bat and makes it easier for them to follow. Honestly, examiners, they have to go through so many answers. Do 1 line for each of the point, evidence, explanation / analysis, and move on to the next. The more opportunity you give yourself to waffle, the more you confuse yourself. And finally, I will say, to get the higher grades, show what is the bigger issue at hand. What is the bigger issue in relation to the question? The way in which you're going to have a better understanding of how to write a good quality sociology essay is reading examples. So if you can get your hands on some good examples from your teachers, from the textbooks that I recommend, which I'm going to put in my link below, then trust me, you're going to get to the grade a lot easier. But anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys found this super helpful. I actually enjoyed filming this a lot. Did my preparation, research, everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions about sociology, GCSE, and preparing for the exams, feel free to comment below. Trust me, I will answer your questions. If you're interested in getting some sociology tutoring, then I will probably put in a interest form below. Make sure to share this with your friends if they're also struggling with GCSE Sociology, because it's very much possible to get the grade. I know you've got it in you, so go get that grade and do the work. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, because I will be coming out with more videos related to revising for GCSEs and A-levels. I'm currently doing a series whilst it's exam season, actually taking a break from my university vlogs. If you're still interested in watching those university vlogs, go check them out. But yeah, luck with your exams.